It's always a little sad the day after Christmas. Soon this has to come down for another year, and then the house will look bare. Oh well, next year's not just around the corner. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly vlog. It is vlog number, what number is it? 437 for December the 29th, 2025. And so this is my last vlog for 2025. So let's jump right into the frustrating time I have been having with my bag making projects. Now, last week you saw the Holland duffel bag that I made, and I was very pleased with it. So pleased with it, I made a second one. Well, this week I moved on to a more complex situation, and that is the amethyst bag by So Sweetness. That's the name of the company. Okay, you can see here, disaster. What you can't see is that I have the zipper in backwards. The one side did not catch when I was sewing it. I had problems with the pouch pocket, although it looks okay now, but it took me, believe it, 2.5 hours to figure out their instructions on how to do a simple pouch pocket. I don't like the way the elastic goes on it. I don't like it, period. So I wasted like a whole day of time working on this, not to mention fabric. Well, I've got lots of fabric. I'm not worried about that. A couple of zippers and the whole bit. This has gone into the trash bin. I am very frustrated and very disappointed in this particular design. So much so that I am debating whether I'm going to work on some of their other patterns. Now, they have a whole bunch of patterns that are free. Now, supposedly there are tutorials as well. Well, I looked for a tutorial for this one, and I hunted high and low. I never found a tutorial. All I found was a trailer for this particular tutorial for this project, not the tutorial itself. I don't know if it had been taken down because that was announced about 2 years ago on some kind of regular live sew day, but they did say there'd be a rebroadcast of that as well after the live event that you could access at any time. Anyways, very disappointed. Now, I mentioned this yesterday on Stephen and Walter Live, and a few people have done some of the So Sweetness patterns before and say that they didn't have any problem and they were great. So I might, down the road, give them another shot, but not this particular project. I found the instructions very confusing, and it's also the way they wrote them. And I hate it when pattern designers, and many of them do this, and I don't know if they're trying to save paper or what, but they write a huge series of instructions in one big lump. And you're sitting there reading it. And I don't know about you, but my brain, and you have to remember, I'm no amateur to reading. Okay, I was an English teacher. But I find that I miss things, or things the way the syntax of the sentence is, it's jumbled on how to do things, and I read it over and over again, even to the point where I take a pencil or a highlighter and I underline each key critical point. You should not have to do that in any pattern. All that needs to be done, in my opinion, and I have written patterns too, and it's the way I write patterns. I'm not saying that mine are the right way, but I like to think mine are a little clearer. I numbered each step, and I don't put more than one instruction in each step. And they're not lumped together in a big block of text. They're separated out. Now, the reason I like that kind of structure is that I can take my pencil and I can tick off each thing I have completed, especially on a complex project like something like this amethyst bag. Because then I know where I'm at. If I get interrupted, I can come right back to the same spot. And I find it's just easier to read. Also, it helps if they use a clear font in the instructions. Now that many of the PDF patterns are in PDF format, you're printing them out on your printer. And, sometimes if it's small font or whatever, and if you're getting low on ink, it's difficult to read. I mean, there's a combination of problems there. As you can see, part of the problem's with the pattern writer, part of the problem is with the person printing it out. But anyways, I gave it an effort. I gave it my best shot, and my best shot was not good enough. It just did not work. I also think I've used the wrong kind of stabilizer in this. I did use a foam stabilizer. They called for something I had never heard of before, and I did a search to find out what the equivalent was. I should have just stuck to something like Soft and Stable, by Annie or that kind of thing, because I've used that before and it's a great product, but it's expensive and it is not that easy to get your hands on here in the area that I live in. I pretty much have to go through Amazon, and Amazon for something like that is charging you a premium price. But anyways, having said that, I just put in over a $200 order on Amazon for a variety of bag making stabilizers. And I'm going to give those a try, but not in this project. So this really set off my next week, not on a great tone. It makes me a little discouraged. It makes me want to go back to just making quilts and not branching out into bag making. However, there's a saving grace. I have 3 of Adam Sew's patterns. I have done one of his patterns before for a bag, and they are well written, very clear, and Adam has a tutorial for each one of them as well, a video tutorial. And he explains very clearly in those what to do. So I am going to stick with success and go with my next project will be, I think, the Thora duffel bag by Adam Sews. I'll talk more about that in the weeks to come. And I'm just going to cut my losses on this one. Besides, there is a by Annie pattern that I happen to have that I've had for a long time that makes a similar bag. And I've done by Annie's before, and a lot of people complain about them. They say there's way too many instructions. Well, yes, there's a lot of instructions. It's very detailed, but she also has videos too to help you out. And I have found once you've done one by Annie bag, you pretty much get the idea of her style and how to read her patterns. So yeah, stick with success, I think, is the thing I am learning from this experience. Okay, so that's my current project, and let's go down here and let's talk about this is, of course, we're in between Christmas and New Year's Day. So this is always kind of a weird time for me. It's kind of a no man's land, a Twilight Zone-y thing. The excitement of Christmas Day is over. We're looking towards the new year. For me, I don't go out on New Year's Eve. We don't bother doing any of that. I'm lucky if I can stay up till midnight and, watch fireworks on YouTube or something like that. But anyways, this always puts me in that I should be doing something. I don't want to do anything. I should be sewing. I should be working on UFOs like the 2 that are behind me, getting those onto Lucy. And I've got 3 more out in the Lucy room that need to be done. Or I sit here all day and drink coffee and watch YouTube shorts. So, that's how things go. Right now, I don't really feel like I have my sew mojo back, my sojo. Part of the reason is the frustration I had with that bag, because I was really looking forward to that bag. I really wanted to make that bag, and just, But anyways, something that always cheers you up, though, this time of the year is seeing what other people put on for their Christmas display in lights. And there is a contest. I don't know who runs it. It probably comes on one of the major networks or something like that. But episodes of it are on YouTube. And it's called The Great Christmas Light Fight. And so here's my review of that. This week's YouTube video clip is called The Great Christmas Light Fight. And what this is a competition between people who really develop way over the top Christmas light displays on their homes. And these are just mind boggling. the hours it must take to do some of these things, the money it must cost to create these displays, the whole bit. And this is not something that they did on a weekend either. I love Christmas lights at this time of the year and seeing what people put on their houses, but this one is just way beyond anything that you would see in your neighborhood, probably, unless, of course, these people live near you. But if you want something that's both entertaining and mind-boggling, and you like light shows, then you'll need to check out this series of video clips called The Great Christmas Light Fight. So you'll find the link for that if you're interested in watching that. And I moved my screen a little bit. That's better. The link, as I said, is in the show notes below. And you are going to find a link in there for an upcoming event. And you've heard me talking about this many times before on here. But I am holding the first pop-up sew day of the year. I'm holding it this Thursday, January the 1st, starting at 8 a.m. and running to approximately 4 p.m. Eastern Time. All are welcome. And just a reminder, you do not have to be a quilter to come to this. You can come to this no matter what. I've had people come that are knitters, crocheters. I've had people come that don't do any of these kinds of things, but they just want to socialize with other people in the creative community. So all are welcome. You don't have to be here at 8, as I said. Come and go as you please. It is a Zoom. It is not recorded. It is not a YouTube live. And the link for it is in the show notes below. And those of you on my mailing list, you just got the email this morning with the link in it for you there. So hope to see many of you there to welcome in the new year on a high note. Okay, and there are links there for other things. There's links there for patterns that I have written. Okay, they're free. PDF, take what you want. Take them all, whatever. If you do make one of my patterns, I would love for you to share a picture of the finished product with me, and I'd be happy to feature it here on the channel at some point in the future. So there's a bit of a, not a challenge, but I guess if you're looking for patterns, try out mine. I think they're decent, but I'm biased. Okay, and there are links to last week's vlogs, what do you want to call them? Yeah. Okay, words fail me. All right, let's turn our attention to what the weather is like. Well, here's what's happening outside my front door. You can see the snow has receded, and the camera is a little bit spotted because it has been raining. It was raining quite a bit last night. I don't think it's raining right now. It was raining so hard that the street was kind of becoming a little tiny river. We don't have flooding here, thank God, but you know, it was a bit concerning. Walter went out with his shovel, and sure enough, the storm sewer was blocked with snow. So he went and cleared that away to, you know, help the water go away. And he also cleaned up a lot of the slop that was on the front step because he was afraid that if the temperature drops, and it will, that would all freeze and we'd have this ice slide. And you know, it's all fun and games until you slip on the ice and break a hip, especially for people in our age group. And so, yeah, or for anybody for that matter, but especially for us people who are considered senior citizens. So he got that all cleaned up. Now, the current temperature right now is 2 degrees C. So it's above freezing. And that makes everything sloppy because the snow will start to melt. There is a wind warning, though. And then there's an additional alert, it says here, of a snow squall watch. So there's something to look forward to. Now, is our temperature going to drop today? Well, yeah, at 10 a.m. we go, well, we actually, starting around now, we are going to be dropping to 1 and then to 0, then to -1, -2, -3 in the middle of the afternoon, -5 at 4 p.m., and after 5, -6, and then after 6, we're going to have 30% chance of snow and -7. And then -8 into the night, -9, -10 into the early morning tomorrow. And wake-up temperature tomorrow is about -11. And it looks like that's the low, 65% chance of snow, and a high of -7. So that's what I said. High today of 5, but tomorrow and the rest of the week, minus numbers until we get to next Monday. Then we're at 2, then we drop to -3. It's a yo-yo this time of the year here. So, yeah, we have that to look forward to. But you want to know something? I kind of want it to snow. Not that I enjoy shoveling it, but I don't. Walter does. Walter had a little problem with her snowblower. Okay, he did mention this on the idiot or on the Stephen and Walter Live yesterday. We have mats. You can see them here in the picture. These are rubber mats that Walter puts down to, when it snows and that, it gives some traction under the snow. But of course, he always shovels them off as well. Well, he decided to snowblow one off, and he forgot it was, or he couldn't see it where it was located under the snow, and he sucked it up into the snowblower. Oh, not good, because it just chewed the crap out of that. But who cares about the mat? What was the thing? Was the snowblower, and it clogged the snowblower majorly. He was out there, says he wasn't cursing and swearing. I'm sure he was. Pulling out little bits of rubber from the augers in the snowblower, and of course there's a shear pin in there and it's sheared off. That's supposed to do that. I didn't know that. I guess that's why they call them shear pins. It's supposed to do that when something like heavy like a rubber mat gets tangled up in your blades so it doesn't wreck the rest of the machine. This bolt comes off and that stops the auger. So he had to replace that, and he did. And the snowblower's working okay now. However, he thinks there might be a bit of a leak, gasoline in it somewhere. That was happening before this disaster with the rubber mat, and he's not sure where the leak is, whether it's the gas, thing. See how technical I am about snowblowers, or the carburetor, and he doesn't know if he can actually fix that. So right now it's just this kind of a slow leak. So I think he's going to, when it's stored in our garage, he's going to, put it with something underneath it to catch any of this stuff. And yeah, hang in there and see if we can get through the season with this blower, and then possibly look at where we can get it fixed. If we can, what that would cost. Might cost as much as buying a new snowblower. And if that's the case, then I think it might be time for a new snowblower. Snowblowers aren't cheap. We have a really big one, several thousand for them. But we got our money's worth out of this one, because we've had this snowblower for, I think we've had it almost since as long as we've been in the house, or shortly thereof. So, possibly this snowblower is 30 years old. And it's really never given us any major trouble. But then again, we don't often run over a rubber mat with it. Just a word to the wise. Yeah. Anyways, that was the excitement on all of that. So, let's talk about what's pissing me off this week. Well, I got two things, because one just happened last night. But before I get to that one, let's talk about what I was going to talk about, or I am going to talk about. And that is there too much emphasis put on the Christmas season? Now, I've talked about the pressure of Christmas, buying gifts, being bombarded by advertisers, by charities, by family, by friends, planning for dinners, planning gifts, all that stuff. It's all very pressure. But where is that? What's the source root of all of that? Well, I think the source root of it is the emphasis we put on Christmas. Now, if you are a religious person, then you probably would say, well, Jesus is the reason for the season, kind of a thing. Actually, he's not. I know that's sacrilege. Christmas is a pagan holiday. It has its roots in pre-Christian times. Okay? Christians adopted it as the birth of Christ. Okay? But we're not going to get into that discussion, because that opens up a whole theological discord there. And I'm not going to do that. That's not what I'm pissed off at. What I'm pissed off with is the emphasis on Christmas, on doing everything right, making sure everybody's accommodated, making sure you have the right food, the right gifts, the right look, everything, the right tree, the right decorations, all of that. So what does that all do? Well, that creates pressure, yes, but it builds up excitement and anticipation in all of us. And then the big day comes, and we are so busy, probably, especially if we're hosting like we were this year, to really enjoy the time you have with family and friends. Because you're too busy serving people, you're making sure everybody's having a good time and all that kind of thing. So when Christmas Day is over, you flop down on the couch and go, oh my God, thank God it's over. Hand me another glass of wine, kind of a thing. Okay, maybe I'm describing my situation more than somebody else's. But then you wake up the next day and it's anticlimactic. We go, well, what do we got to look forward to? Well, I suppose New Year's Eve, but New Year's Eve is not the same as Christmas. I mean, New Year's Eve, you don't do a lot of gift giving. People, these days, I don't think a lot of people, unless you're young, like, and I'm saying the 20-something, early 30 crowd, you don't go out anywhere because it's expensive to go out for dinner, and you've had to make your reservation months in advance for that. No one wants to drink, and then you can't drive, so you've got that pressure on there. Everything's expensive, the whole bit. So many people, and especially as you get older, choose to stay home. Now you might have friends in. You might go to somebody's place, maybe. Or what I think a lot of older people do is they stay in. We do. We used to go out on New Year's, and we'd go to a local club of ours that we were members of, and they'd have, a special like buffet and everything. You paid, I don't know how much we paid for the tickets, and there was music and there was dancing, and you welcomed in the new year, and there was cheap champagne and rah rah rah, and then you had to get a taxi home because you'd been drinking and everything. We thought that was fun in those days, and it was, but we were also young, a lot younger. Now I can barely stay awake for midnight. I don't even know if I'm going to stay up for midnight this year. But I'm kind of digressing from all of this. What I wanted to really say is that suddenly the high you've been on, you plummet on the Boxing Day and down. So this week, which I already mentioned, between Christmas Day and New Year's Day, is sort of a no man's land. It's anticlimactic, it's depressing. And a lot of people do get depressed during that time. And really, it's because of the anticipated excitement of Christmas. And now what? What do we do now? So that's called the Christmas letdown. And if you didn't really have as exciting or as enjoyable Christmas as you thought you were going to have, it's even worse. And then we get into January. And what is it? The 3rd or 2nd? I don't know. One of the Mondays in January is Blue Monday. It's supposed to be the most depressing day of the calendar year. Well, isn't that something to look forward to? So I don't know how you keep yourself from feeling this way. Maybe be very busy. But as I said, my sojo is not here right now. I just want to rot. And that's not good. That's not good. Got to break away from that. But we go through it every year. Now, another thing that's pissing me off, which is somewhat related. Of course, we did the Missouri Star Quilt box unboxing. We did 5 videos for that, as you know, and many of you watched those and the whole bit. And yesterday also on Stephen and Walter Live, we said, and we put it in the title, that we were going to have a overall review of our experience or what other people were saying about the Missouri Star Quilt Christmas Advent box for 2025. And we did. However, it was in the last third, maybe in the last quarter of our live. Now, this often happens with us. We have a topic. I always pick a topic, but we start the whole broadcast off with talking about things that have maybe nothing to do with that main topic because we talk about the week and we feed off of the comments that people are saying in the chat. So we go with that. So we get off on tangents. And as far as I'm concerned, that's okay, because that's what our live is all about. It's just going with the flow of whatever the people are there they want to talk about, or, you know, it's a conversation. It's basically a conversation. Had one lady who was disgusted with me. She scolded me because I did not get into the main topic as promised in the title until an hour and 7 minutes into the live. So, you know what my answer to her was? Well, I'm sorry. I said, first of all, it's our program. We do what we want to do. And if you don't find that suitable to your needs, you can go somewhere else. I'm not going to mince words about it. That was a nasty comment. You know, you sat there for an hour and 7 minutes to wait for what we were going to talk about. At that point, if I was really into that I was going to do it, I wouldn't have sat there for an hour. I would have just left. There are plenty of fish out on the YouTube sea to go and watch. Yeah, that's a mixed metaphor. So just a nasty comment. So there's somebody that might be suffering from Christmas letdown. Maybe they didn't have a good Christmas. I could make excuses for this, but you know, as I say, I'm not going to make excuses for someone else's bad. So yeah, so what do I say to that woman? Stick it. Yeah, go away, as Walter would say. So yeah, of course, that doesn't put you in a very cheery mood either when you get nasty comments like that. But anyways, I know that all of this too shall pass. It's just a few days after Christmas. It's our routines have been upset because of Christmas. After New Year's Day, when we get back to our usual routines and things, I am sure, or at least for me, I am sure I will get some new inspiration. I'll get my sojo back and away we will go. Okay, so let's talk about other things that bring me happiness. And you know that this always brings me happiness, and that's my grow lights. Our grow lights. Well, we have a new crop of lettuce coming up here in grow light number 1, as you can see. It's looking very luscious. And we have some new lettuce too in this one, but our basil is just taken over. Now, yesterday I picked some of the basil because I'm trying my hand at taking these little devils and pickling them. I found a recipe. So I made 2 jars. I don't know how they're going to turn out because in this recipe, it's your standard pickling procedure. You add garlic, you add ginger, you add basil, you add peppercorns, you pack the jar with your little tomatoes, you poke each one with a toothpick so that your brine will infuse in them, and you mix up your brine. The brine is just vinegar, sugar, salt, kind of a thing, and you pour it into the jar, as you do with any kind of pickling. But then this is where the instructions changed. Usually you seal the jar after you've put the hot liquid in, and tighten it down, and that's how it creates the seal, a little vacuum seal, and that helps preserve things, right? This recipe said to leave the jars uncovered and let them cool right down, then seal them and put them in the fridge. And it said, try them after 2 days, let them sit for 2 days in the fridge, and they'll keep up to a month in your fridge. Well, I don't know. This seems a little weird. And I said that to Walter. I mean, we don't actually have a vacuum seal on these. So maybe the intent here is that, you're not supposed to let them sit for more than a month. I don't know, maybe something happens to them. Maybe the tomatoes start to deteriorate in the brine. I don't know, but we shall see. It's an experiment, so I'll keep you posted. But as you can see, we have lots of little suckers and a few peppers in the back. And yeah, I don't know what Walter's plans are for the peppers. I'm assuming we're going to start another crop. We got to get on to that, or it'll be spring before we get any more peppers under the lights. So all of that is working out very nicely. And it's nice to have, you know, fresh stuff from your own little indoor garden for your salads. And we eat a lot of salads. Yeah, we need to eat more, especially after this season. Yeah, Christmas goodies. I've been eating pie, leftover pie. You know I love pie. And Walter makes wonderful pie. He made 2 pumpkin chiffon and 1 banana cream, and there was pie left over. Plus, I've got Christmas cookies and Christmas cake. I love fruit cake. I really do. Yum, yum. Okay, let's move on here before I turn this off and run upstairs and eat everything. Even though I freeze it, that doesn't stop me. Yeah. Okay, so new products. Well, with having everybody here, I used to have a couple of heating trays. And then when I discovered a few days before when I went hunting for them, I only have one. I think we had one a long time ago that burned out and we threw it out and never replaced it. So I went on Amazon and I bought what now they have instead of trays, they're mats, which are actually kind of cool for storing because they roll right up. And of course, they're all digital and whatnot. So I ordered one. But then Amazon, who guaranteed it would be there the next day, turned around and said, no, sorry, there's been a delay. You'll have it by the 27th of December. Too late. I need it for Christmas Day. So we went off to Walmart and we found one there. In the meantime, the other one arrived way before Christmas Day. Arrived on the 24th, I think. So I have 2. And here's what they look like. And you know, I didn't take any back because I figured they'd be handy to have. Now I don't know when the next time will be that I will need to use them. It could be years, but at least I have them. And they store very easily and they worked fine, no problem, except the one I bought at Walmart. The on-off switch on it, when you plug it in, it comes on. You can adjust the temperature, that all works. But I thought you're supposed to give it a long press to turn it off on the button. And that's how the other one, the white one, works. But this one doesn't turn off unless you unplug it. Not a big problem for the number of times that I'll use it. I could take it back, but I'm not going to bother. I'll just hang on to it and say la vie. But anyways, I'm glad I got them. They worked out really nice for Christmas Day's dinner. Another thing that we bought is I bought new steak knives. Now we have actually 2 sets. We have a set of steak knives that we use for every day. And we've had them for years, but they've had it. They've basically had it. They're dull. They look crappy, the whole bit. And I've been saying to Walter, we need to get new ones. So I decided to do the plunge. Went on to Amazon, saw these ones. I didn't want to spend an arm and a leg, but I wanted something that would stand up. These ones had a fairly good review. And so they arrived yesterday. I washed them all up and we used them last night and they seem to work fine. They're supposed to be dishwasher safe. So yeah, I think they will do the purpose. And for $35, I didn't figure I could go wrong with that. So new knives. And what else did I buy? Well, I decided to buy myself a little Christmas present and I bought a new Kobo. Now, for those of you that are in the States, this is a Kindle. Okay, same idea as a Kindle. It's an e-reader. I have been through several Kobos in different styles. They keep coming out with new ones over the years. I think I'm on number 3 or number 4 right now. And I love my Kobos. However, my recent Kobo I've had now for a long while. The battery doesn't seem to be holding its charge as well as it used to, and that happens. So they had a sale on, as you can see, for what they call the Kobo Clara, and it's in color. And I thought, ooh, that's cute. So I bought it. Of course, I had to buy a new cover for it too, so it'll go to sleep. all that kind of stuff. So I haven't got it yet. They said 5 to 10 days. I anticipate it'll be closer to 10 days than 5. I mean, given the time of the year and everything like that. And that's okay. My other one's working fine. But yeah, so I'm excited about that. And let's see, do I have anything else on here? No. So I'm in a shopping mood, unfortunately. And this happens to me always. Right after Christmas, I want to buy things. I've always have. I don't know why. Even as a kid, I wanted to buy more things after Christmas. Um, so I bought another new toy. I've been talking about this and I just decided, oh, the hell with it. Let's just do it. I bought another AMS Pro 2. That's the automatic materials system for my bamboo printers. It's the thing that does the color changing. And I already have 3 of them. There's 2 on one of the X1Cs, and there's 1 on the bamboo H2S, and I have 1. Did I say 3? I have 4. There's 1 on the original X1C. So I want to make the X1C capable of doing 8 colors. So I bought another AMS for that. It came yesterday. That was quick. That was very quick. The only thing is, I also purchased a hub for it. I need the hub in order to daisy chain more AMSs. That did not come with the AMS when it was shipped yesterday. And that didn't surprise me because the way Bamboo does its shipping, if you have multiple things in one order, they bill you all as in one order, but the individual items may come individually. So I can't do anything with the new AMS until I get that hub. So I'm waiting for that. But yeah, I bought that. Then, as I mentioned, I bought all this stabilizer. I bought some patterns online. Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. But hey, what the heck makes me happy? That's my story. I have no excuse for them. I'm not going to rationalize it. I bought them because I want them. Okay. So, speaking of 3D printing then, let's take a look at some recent projects. All right, so these are my old steak knives. You can see they're a little bit beaten up. But I saw this design and decided to make it on a 3D printer. It's a knife holder. And the problem with these knives in our utility or flatware drawer is that they don't stack well and they're all over the place. And it's been driving us mental. So, my knives are slipping over the divide into the spoon drawer, and I don't like them doing that. No. So I thought I'd give this a try. So I made it. It's working dandy. It's great. How it's designed in the top is sort of a webbing kind of a thing from the plastic, and you can put a knife anywhere in there, and it sort of just separates up, and you drop the knife in. So they even have a model that has a little base on it that has holes in it so that you could put your knives in wet and let them dry. I don't do that, but so I didn't make that part. But yeah, and it's kind of attractive. I used rainbow filament for it, and it sits on the kitchen counter over in one corner, and yeah, so I was very pleased with that print. That is a practical print. And then, well, I thought I was done making Christmas decorations, but I saw this snowman, and he was cute, and you put a little tea light in it. It's hard to tell, but there is a tea light in it, and he glows, and he's just fun, and I thought he was cute, so I made him. Yeah, I don't need any more Christmas decorations, but I did this. And then, okay, you're going to say, what the heck is this? Well, this is actually a monitor shelf, and what I mean by that is, your monitor, the one I'm looking at right now, is a big monitor above my laptop here, and it's not very wide. So you really can't put anything on top of it in terms of decorations or anything like that. And I have a bunch of little things. I've shown them to you before that I've made, little sign things and some little 3D printed mini-me's and that kind of thing. And I usually set them in front of the monitor, but they get in my way, and I knock them over and things like that. Well, this little device is meant to hang over hang onto the top of your monitor. That V piece fits into it. It's adjustable, and it presses up against the back of your monitor and keeps the little shelf, because the shelf is much wider than the lip of the monitor at the top, and keeps it from falling over. I made 4 of them, and they're great. They're just dandy. Here's what they look like. There you go. I've got these things on them. This is before I made the 4th one and put the little mini me's on it. But that's on top of my monitor. They're very, excuse me, very secure, and I'm loving them. So another practical print. And okay, something else I've been experimenting with. This. This looks like a painting, doesn't it? It's not. It's 3D printed, and it's flat. And it's only about maybe a 1/4 inch or less thick. This is something called HueForge. There's a program, and you can take a picture, any picture you want, drop it into this program, do some fiddling around with adjustments and things, and you can create something like this. And so I bought the program. It wasn't expensive. Again, buying things, $34 Canadian. But if you have a bamboo printer, you can go on to, well, you don't need to have a bamboo printer to go on this. You can go on to Bamboo's 3D model site, and it's called Maker World, and there is a program in there called Chroma. And Chroma is based on HueForge, but it's a little simpler to use than HueForge. It uses AI, and you drop a picture in, do a couple of simple things, and you can produce something like this. Now, this one I did not actually make. Someone posted it for free to download, so I wanted to try to see how well my printer would work with this, and I was really impressed. So I decided to do one myself of Walter and I as caricatures, which I already had this picture from a previous project that I was doing, and I decided to make it black and white and print it out. And this picture doesn't do it justice. When you see it in real life, there's actually texture to it, because there are layers of filament to make this. Very thin layers. Again, this is not paper thin, but it's not a huge chunk of plastic. So I was really impressed with what that did. So I carried on, and I took my business cards. Now the color is a little off from what the original business card looks like, but I kind of like this. And I did purposely raise the scissors and the spools of threads on it, sort of relief. And I made a bunch of these. I made, I think I've got 8 right now. And I think when I go to something again, or whatever, for special people, instead of giving them my cardboard business card, I'm going to give them one of my 3D printed cards. And I think they're really cool. They'd also make great fridge magnets, which I should do, because I think I've got some sheets of magnetic, sticky magnetic material that I can put on the back of them. So I am having a great deal of fun using this HueForge. I don't think I have anything else on here to show you. No, I don't. So I'm not done experimenting with it, but it's really cool. I mean, the things you can do with a 3D printer and how it's all changed since I got the very first one is incredible. I love it. It is a great hobby. And as I said, you can do, people are making money on this. They're starting up businesses. I have no desire to do something like that, but many people are. And I just do it for fun and for experimentation, and to, challenge myself with some new technology. But so much different from when I got my very first one way back, what was that, 5 years ago, maybe? Something like that. They've come a long way. Okay. So, since we're heading towards New Year's Day, I thought for this, the old clip of Stephen and Walter live from back in the past, I thought I found a little clip talking about what it was like to spend New Year's Eve in Australia, because we did that one year. And if you want to see the full video of what Australia was like being there in person in the Opera House, because we were in the Opera House, it was the best New Year's Eve that we ever had in our lives. I mean, it cost us like over $2,000 to do that, but it was worth every penny. And there is a video, there's a playlist from Australia 2016, I believe. I think it's 2016. Yeah, I think that was our first trip to Australia. We did that one as a cruise, and this was after the cruise. So, yeah, you might want to check it out. But in the meantime, here's us talking about it.
For us, Australia's already had it, and they're into New Year's Day already, well into it. Yeah. We watched the fireworks. It was up on YouTube for this year, and we saw it live last year when we were in Australia, and that's probably the most sensational New Year's Eve we've ever spent in our lives. Was that because we were at the Sydney Opera House for the gala. We had dinner there, a gala show. The first set of fireworks, they have a kids' fireworks display. Then we had the second part of the gala show. And then we had the after party show, which included a wonderful view of the fireworks, the Harbour Bridge, with all kinds of, well, it wasn't really free champagne, but it was an open bar in a sense. And anything you wanted, and they had hors d'oeuvres.
It was included in the price of what we paid.
Yeah, and what we paid was quite a lot of money because it was, how much was it? It was
$1,100 of our dollars per person.
So it was $2,200 for the two of us for the night. But it was worth every cent, I will tell you that.
Plus another $800 for the hotel room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we already had the hotel room in Sydney because we'd been staying
and there. And that wasn't an expensive hotel.
No. But anyways, it was worth every cent. It kind of shocked me when Walter said he had booked this.
Yeah, I didn't tell him until there was only, I'd looked at it a few months before we were going to go and asked him about it, and he said, no, it's too expensive. And then I started looking around at other venues and found that the other venues weren't too cheap either. So then I went back and there was like two decent seats left in the Opera House. So or what I thought, because I didn't know, we've never been in the Opera House. So I booked those two seats and didn't tell him until a couple of days later.
Yeah, we're sitting in the hot tub and he starts the conversation. Well, I did something last night. And when I hear those words come out of his mouth, I know it's going to cost money, and he's either bought something or whatever. And I said, so what'd you buy this time? Well, I got tickets to the Opera House, and we're having dinner there, and there's a show, and we're going to have a good vantage point for the fireworks, and there's an after-party show. And then I said, yes, and how much is this going to cost us? Now, I was figuring it was going to cost us a couple of $100 each. When he said $1,100, I went, for the two of us. And he goes, no, each. And at that point, I almost drowned in the hot tub. But caught my breath really quick and thought, it's a once-in-a-lifetime deal. We'll probably never be back to Australia. Might as well do it and whatnot. Now, having said that, in a month's time, we're going back to Australia. So, as you know.
Yeah, but they're not doing that at the Opera House. No.
But if you'd like to see what we saw on that, I do have a video up on my channel. You'll have to do some searching for it because it was a year ago. But there is one there about the New Year's Eve gala, and I've got some great shots of what it was like and the whole bit, and you can check that out and see what we...
I don't know, I think it was worth the $1,100
yeah,
each.
I think it was too. I really do.
So, of course, that takes me to events in the past week. Well, we had the Stephen and Walter Christmas Eve social. Small group, but it was a fun group, and I hope everybody enjoyed that. I showed some funny videos. We played a couple of games. We talked about what people were planning for Christmas and things like that. It was an enjoyable couple of hours with friends, having a couple of drinks and eating some Christmas treats. So that was a great time. Now, of course, on Christmas Eve day, December the 24th, we had to get everything ready for the next day, right? So that, of course, meant the food and Walter's turkey. So I took a little video of Walter doing his turkey.
So Walter's in the process of cooking his bird. Yes, he is cooking the bird upside down. The breast is down. It's on a rack. He's trusted it. He's got strings on it. He's now poking it in the hole because everybody knows you get a juicier bird if you poke it in the hole. And you're supposed to get a juicier breast if it turns upside down. But this is a big bird. Look at the size of that. This is a 22-pounder. So yeah, this is the day before Christmas Day. And he started cooking this at about, what, 10 o'clock this morning?
9.
9 o'clock this morning. So it may be done by 9 o'clock tonight. I don't know.
No, it's supposed to be done by about 3 or something.
Oh, okay. And in the meanwhile, we did some cranberries. I had made this pot of cranberries, which now look more like cranberry jam, a few days ago. But because we have a few people that cannot have real sugar, we use the fake sugar in it. And when it cooled and I had it in the fridge, it crystallized. So we had crunchy cranberries. Not horrible, but crunchy. And knowing in my family, someone would mention that the cranberries were crunchy. And they'd all laugh at me because, you know, that would be my fault and they would expect no less. So I'm making another pot of cranberries using real sugar. But this one I'm thinking, I reheated it up to see what'll happen. It'll probably crystallize again once it goes cold in the fridge. I don't know. But you know, it'd be delicious on a scone with clotted cream. Yeah, cranberry jam. Walter's turkey is done. He's fighting with it now. It's a big bird and he's trying to get it out of the pan and onto the platter so he can cut her all up. Is the bird juicy? Oh my God, that's a big bird. We'll be eating turkey forever. Turkey forever. So, how's it taste? Let's take a little piece, shall we? That's a good bird. 'Tis juicy. You enjoying your bird?
I only tried a little piece.
How's the dark meat?
Good. Do you like turkey?
No, there is no dressing inside this bird. We don't do it that way. Walter does it outside of the bird. We have lots of gravy. And there's more turkey over there. Turkey everywhere. Kitchen's full of turkey.
And then I did show a picture yesterday on Stephen and Walter Live of what the final setup looked like for Christmas dinner. I mean, we had, counting Walter and I, there were 14 of us for dinner. No way I could get people upstairs around my dining room table for that. So I had to make a dining room table with folding tables in our rec room. And, well, I think it turned out quite nice. And here's a little tiny video of that.
So I thought you'd like to see how I'm setting up for 14 people for dinner. So here's my table area, my seating area. Now, if you count carefully, you'll realize there's only 12 place settings here. And I said there's 14 counting Walter and myself. But I don't have enough room down here to get in another table. So Walter and I will probably sit over at the kiddies table, which also serves as the bar area in that corner. We'll come to that in a minute. This is going to be the buffet. I bought 2 rolling, you can roll these up, hot mats, and I'm hoping they will do the trick. And I have the dessert table, well, the Christmas treat table set up over here, as you can see. All of these little goodies come from a Dutch bakery that's in our area called the Village Bake Shop, and their stuff is always very good and always made right there on the premises. So that's going to be good. And then, as I said, there is a bar area over here. And grow lights work out very nice as a backdrop for this, I think. So some wine here, and you see we have a little fridge down here, and the little fridge right now is where I have all my hors d'oeuvres and non-alcoholic drinks, although there are a couple of bottles of white wine in there. We have another fridge beyond these doors on either side where we're keeping the food that we prepared yesterday. We still have a little bit more to prepare today. And the reason I'm keeping everything in close proximity to the Christmas table, the dining table, is because I don't want to have to go up and down my stairs 1,000 times. And yes, I am using, they don't look like it, but those are plastic plates. Yeah, disposable plastic plates. I am trying to cut down this year the amount of dishwashing we're going to have to do. And in our laundry room, which is beyond this door right here, I have set up a large folding table with a couple of busboy, or whatever you call them, table busting bins, whatever, you know, the kind of thing they use in restaurants to, you know, clean off tables. And I can use those to sort, and then we don't need to make 1,000 trips up and down the stairs when it comes time to clean up. This will be where all the appetizers before dinner will go, on this table. And if you've seen a previous video, I showed you how this was decorated. Well, I have relocated the decorations to my dining table and other spots. And yeah, it's going to be close confines, because right now, unless somebody takes up 2 seats, and that's a possibility, I can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people on the couch, 7 on that chair. Well, not 7 people on the chair, the 7th person on that chair. I can get 2 people on the ottoman. I've set up the Christmas cushions there to give them a little back support. So that's 9. And then 2 chairs, 10, 11, and 12. So yeah, once again, we do not have a chair, Walter and I, but that's okay. We're going to be back and forth all over the place. And if we do decide to sit down, well, we'll just take a chair from the dining room table. I think it's looking quite nice, quite festival. And although it's going to be somewhat tight confines, I am sure we'll get everybody in here and, you know, give them all a couple of drinks. They won't care at that point. So that is our prep, or just waiting now to finish up some last minute things. And then when our guests arrive later today, we're all ready to go. I hope you're having a Merry Christmas as well.
Okay, so what's coming up? Well, big event. The first Idiot Quilter pop-up sew day of the new year. This Thursday, January the 1st, and I already went over the details about that and the links in the show notes below. So I hope as many of you that are free and wish to do so can attend that. I think it'll be a great way to bring in the new year. And what better things do you have to do on New Year's Day? Because many places are closed anyways that day. And even if you did want to go out and shop, you'd be fighting maybe a whole lot of other people who are doing the same thing, you know, returning things, that kind of deal. So anyways, hope to see you on Thursday. Check out the Idiot Quilter tomorrow. And there will be a So Chatty this week on Friday. I've already started working on that, so we will have that as well. So lots coming up. Let's hope that, well, I'm hoping I will at least get out of this semi-depressed state. But talking to you today has helped with that. So yeah, thank you for allowing me to do so. As if you had any choice. Okay, on that note, I'm going. Bye.